So I chose Babu Gita 3:27, which contains very interesting information about a mystical potency which is influencing all of us and which is very difficult to perceive, but nonetheless it's something which is around and which is important to know about. So this verse 327 is a very mystical sloka. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And the Sanskrit, which is very beautiful, goes like this. If you know it, you're welcome to join me, otherwise don't break your tongue. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimulatma kartaham iti manyate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Purport. Two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level may appear to be working on the same platform. But there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. The person in material consciousness is convinced by false ego that he is the doer of everything. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of his nescience. He does not know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna in Krishna consciousness. The ignorant man forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Krishikesa, or the master of the senses of the material body, for due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. So here, this is a verse spoken by Krishna, by God. And he's saying that there's some energy called false ego. And that this false ego is making us think that we are the doer of activities. So, since I started this sentence up till now, you have all been blinking your eyes. Some of you have been pulling up your sleeves and other things like that. And you did it, right? Did you just pull up your sleeve?
No.
No. Come on. Actually, he didn't. That's the magic. I mean, if you think about it, you're doing so many movements of the body, and to actually generate movement, if you ask a neurologist, it means that impulses are created in the brain and they run down the nervous lines, or the lines of the nervous system, and they go out into the finer muscle tissue and they make a small movement. So if I were doing that, that means I consciously had to say, okay, Now I'll send an impulse, it'll run down here, and like I'll flip my finger. And I could maybe state that with some of my activities, but if you think about it, we're doing most of our actions or most of our movements, it's kind of like happening without we even thinking about it, right? I mean, how many of you have been correcting your posture or sniffing a little bit because it's cold or twisting the shoulder? I mean, you would become awfully busy if you had to instigate all the neurological impulses in the brain which make all this happen. So we can get some perception that, I mean, we are not blinking our eyes. They're just blinking. Our digestive system is working. We're not kind of like monitoring it and making everything happen. It's just going on. And I mean, we don't even know how many muscles we have in the body. What to speak of, manipulating them in certain ways. But we think we do it. This is the magic. So that energy which makes us think that we do something, that here I'm moving my hands and around like this, that energy is a very real energy, and it's called in Sanskrit ahankar, or in English false ego. And that energy also makes us believe that I am a man, I am a woman, I am young, I am old, I am a bus driver or a monk or a housewife or whatever. It's the same energy in play. I have some experiment I always like to do because it's quite, say, like revealing, and I want some of you to maybe volunteer with the answer if you know it, or I mean anyone can participate. But the question is, have you changed or haven't you changed throughout life? How many would say that they have changed throughout life? Raise your hands. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, many say, how many hasn't changed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. So then I would like to ask those who have changed. You have observed that maybe the body looks different or something like that? Yeah, body looks a little different. My thoughts are a little different. But how do you know? How do you know that you think differently or that you look differently now than 10 years back? Huh?
Consequences.
The consequences?
From pictures.
Huh?
From pictures.
From pictures? Okay.
Consciousness.
You know it from conscious. I mean, I'm just trying to find out, how do you know you have changed?
Only the physical body.
Huh?
Only the physical body. Not I, but the soul will not change.
No, but you know that the physical body have changed, right? I mean, that's a fact. The physical body have changed.
The feeling changed.
Huh?
Thoughts.
Thoughts have changed, feelings have changed.
Feeling.
But the point is, you wouldn't have been able to perceive those changes if you had changed. There's someone sitting here who has been sitting here and watching, and then he's saying, oh, in that photograph, or 10 years back, I look like that. Now I'm looking like this. I mean, the perceiver of the change hasn't changed. Because if the perceiver has changed, you wouldn't perceive the change. Someone is watching, my thoughts have changed. My feelings have changed. My body have changed. The weather have changed. The government has changed. So many things have changed, hopefully for the better. But we can see, we can get some small realization that someone are perceiving a change. There is something which over time has been the same and is perceiving that the body is changing, perceiving that, today I feel happiness. Yesterday I felt depressed. This, that. So many things are going on, and we are recognizing, yes, I'm changing. So how we can recognize change if something is not constant?
The soul is.
Yeah. So that's the point. That person who is perceiving the change, that's you. That's the thing which doesn't change. So that is a very, it's a very good thing to know, because then you can actually see who you are and what you are not. You are not your feelings, and we are not our thoughts. We are not our hands or our bodies. This is something we possess, and we are experiencing that they changed. And if you go into the Gita would say that before you came to this world, you had another body. And when you go from here, you'll get another one. So the soul is traveling through matter in different shapes and forms. And we are perceiving that matter change. But the perceiver, or us, the soul, we are unchanged, and we are noticing that things are changing, thoughts are changing, emotions are changing. So Bhagavad Gita takes its viewpoint from the point of that soul. That is the important aspect of us. Because, cells in the body will come and go, thoughts will come and go, emotions will come and go, this and that. And also, bodies will come and go. So, like all the other things we possess, like cars, mobile phones, laptops, whatnot, they come and they go. So that's not so interesting in one sense, but the soul is of major importance, because that's really us, and that's what we need to actually satisfy. That's where our main concerns are. If we want to become happy, it's a spiritual experience. It's not material. So here we are hearing about something called false ego. And we really think, I must admit myself, I think I'm a man. Right? Come on, what do you mean I'm not a man? When you say, oh, you're not women, or how you can say that? So we can understand that this energy is very, very powerful. And Srila Prabhupada once gave a very amusing example to further make it clear. And he said to some of his listeners in one lecture that if you're hungry, do you feel hunger the Danish way? Or is there some Dutch way or Indian way to feel hungry? Or if you hit yourself over the thumb with a hammer, is it like, oh, I feel pain in the Danish way? Or is it kind of like a universal experience that, okay, if someone in India is trying to put up the picture of his forefathers, and someone in Denmark is trying to put up a picture of Metallica, and they hit themselves over the thumb, it's the same pain. Be thou Indian or be thou Danish, be thou, woman or man or whatever. And if we are hungry, it's not that we are hungry in the Danish way, or in the Indian way, or in the Polish way, or any other way. It's an experience which is universal. The same thing with love. It's a universal experience which doesn't depend on, I'm in Danish love. And then it would only fit with people from Denmark. Only I could only love people from Denmark because I have Danish love. It's absurd. It's absurd. But that's what we think. I live in India, and some time back I was traveling, and we were standing at a bus stop waiting for the bus to come. And then I'm kind of like sticking out a little bit, like Amita Prabhu also lived in India or lives in India for many years. So you kind of stick out when you have white skin. So one young man, I was standing with two, Indian monks, and one young Indian man, he came up and he's kind of like, foreigner? He said to the two other monks a little bit. So then he said, okay. And then I said, you're also a foreigner. And he said, no, I'm Indian. Right? So then I said, no, you're not Indian, you're a soul. And immediately he picked it up. Immediately, yeah, you're right. Right? So, our deepest and eternal identity is to be a soul. And all the other perception of ourselves are created by this ahankar, or this false ego, and are not really so important. Okay, we need to maybe give some attention to how you're supposed to act if you are in a male body or in a female body. There's certain rules and regulations which will keep you out of jail. So, something we need to conduct accordingly, but basically the underlying quest we have as souls is to understand who am I as a soul, and not really be so concerned about who am I in a human body or in an animal body or anything like that. So Babu Gita is a very profound scripture. I mean, it's the manual, right? I mean, if you want the manual to life, like you want the manual for any other apparatus that you get in contact with, mobile phones or whatever, this is definitely the manual on life. If you want to know all the different energies which we are made up of and what is actually soul, that is a very powerful book to get that realization from. So now I hope that I could conclude that we are souls without anyone objecting strongly to that. Any objections? Okay, so let's just say, okay, we are souls, we are sitting in a material body. But then what is the spiritual landscape? I mean, from a material point of view, we're situated in Denmark, and there are certain rules and regulations we follow. Here you go to get your money, this and that. But what is the same spiritual landscape which we are actually moving around in? What is the underlying spiritual reality which we would have to, if we are souls, we would also have to know what's the spiritual reality, what's the spiritual world that I'm in, which personalities are there, and what's the way of conducting ourselves, and all these questions would be relevant for someone who understands that he or she is a soul. So basically, God or Krishna or Allah or whatever name we choose is also a soul, and he has a spiritual world also where the soul can actually live free from temporary obstacles. Because the nature of the soul, the inherent nature of the soul is that we are eternal living beings. That's why we can perceive these changes. That's because we are eternal. So we can perceive that things are changing. So therefore, we don't want to experience temporariness. We are frustrated when things are temporary. As soon as we get a big nice ice cream on straw in the summertime, as soon as we have taken the first two, 3 bites, we begin to lament that soon it will be over. And if we are in the middle of a good movie, or it's almost over. So, and I mean, endless pop songs are phrasing their text with, I will love you forever. So this is kind of something we strive for. This is something we naturally find attractive, that things last, that we are not like, whatever we are attached to, whatever we love, all of a sudden, what do you mean it's over? No, that's not right, that's not true, no, I can't, that's not good. And ultimately life itself, I mean, if it ends, we're not so happy about it. It's not, most people, they're very scared of leaving the body. So in that sense, we can very clearly see many of the characteristics that we actually have. We want things to last forever, and we don't want things to end. So that's a very strange quality in someone if we are just temporary beings. And then there is this thing which we all look for all the time, which is happiness. We're all running from morning till evening to try to experience happiness. And what Krishna says about it, he says, I'm the source of that happiness. So now we can put ourselves in contact with different types of sense objects and experience some temporary happiness. Right? That's why they make widescreens, so that the contact and the surround sound would get in contact with your senses, so you're in contact for however long the movie lasts, or whatever, football games or concerts or whatever. And as soon as you disconnect yourself, experience is over. And then we start looking for some other things. Then we go to the fridge, what should I eat? And so on and so forth, what should I listen to? So we are constantly trying to put the senses in contact with the sense objects, but it ends. It starts and it ends. And that is what ultimately leads us to something which lasts. Where is it that I can find this eternal source of happiness, which no matter when I go there or no matter what I do, I will feel eternal happiness. So we could easily understand that eternal happiness has to come from someone who is eternal. And that means we have to look on the spiritual platform to find that happiness. So Krishna, or God, he is that source from which we can have continuous full satisfaction of the soul. And by making that connection, by chanting the holy names, slowly, that false ego, the ego that, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm this, I'm that, it's gone away, and you actually make direct perceivable contact with the spiritual sunshine, or with God, with Krishna. And that is where we have to look for eternal happiness. If you don't want eternal happiness, go on. But if you want to experience mind-blowing consciousness expanding, overwhelming love and happiness, that goes on the spiritual platform. And therefore, we have to know how to get in contact with the spiritual dimension. How can you actually get Krishna to come so close that you can feel him on your heart? So that's this small little book with 700 verses inside is doing that trick. It makes us completely able to connect with God